You have to have $200,000 available to buy in
wow.
at the start. Yeah. There's programmatic ads, and the CPMs there can be even lower. In that case, the CPM at OpenAI is 20 times the amount. The one article I had read talked about how it was 3 times the amount on Facebook. It's a lot higher than what we're seeing in other platforms. At OpenAI, they're trying to tell us this level of attention that people are giving the ads is just going to be a lot higher.
Hi, I'm Jon.
Hey, I'm Conley.
Here at Autoboost, we've been following the news from OpenAI about the launch of ads inside of ChatGPT and looking into ways that auto repair shops could use the platform. So Conley, catch us up to speed.
Yes, OpenAI did just launch ChatGPT ads, and they're going to be available to a pretty small set of group to start. So looks like you'll need to buy in at somewhere around, I think it's $200,000 as a starting point as an advertiser right now. So basically that's keeping it really limited to big brands, to brands that can afford really big agencies. Not at a point where we can really jump in ourselves yet, but it's interesting to see all of this come out. I'm curious to see a little bit more. I haven't had a chance to interact much with an ad myself, but you know, I'm curious to see what that experience looks like on the user's end so that, you know, we can gather some more information about what that looks like on the advertiser's ends too.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think it can have a big impact on our industry.
Yeah, I'd say for certain. I mean, we're already seeing some impacts in the organic market, right? So we saw this big report come out earlier this year that showed that only 75% of searches are happening on Google at this point. That's down from somewhere close to 95% before. Where that's really getting chipped into is from these different AI companies that have the LLMs, right? And so we know even there, organic search volume on folks' websites is dwindling. We see this right through something called zero-click conversions. On the one hand, on Google, right, there are a ton of ways now to just get in touch with a shop without ever touching their website, whether that's through a local service ad, the Google business profile, right, the map pack. At the same time, now there's different ways to learn about a shop, right? We don't need Google at all or the website. We can just go to ChatGPT or something like that. And we see some of that showing up in folks' website volume right now. But I'm really curious to see, once OpenAI lets companies into the mix on the back end, I think that'll become a much larger part of our conversations with our clients in the automotive industry.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so at this point, they're already allowing advertisers, and like we said, a limited set of them, but they're allowing some of them in. So I think the speed of it's been pretty quick. We should expect to like keep up with like just the speed of AI, you know, in this day and age. I mean, everything's happening so fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and they talked about an opening dollar amount for like what the CPM could be. Cost per 1,000 impressions is typically how we think of that metric, and maybe that could be like 1,000 user conversations in this instance. They talked about $60, you know.
And what is that compared to something, some of the other services that we see?
Oh, it's super high. I mean, I've seen some, like when I read the article that talks about the $60 CPM, they said this was like 3 times as high as Facebook.
Wow.
Right? And that's even a lot, but I feel that in the automotive industry, the Facebook CPM can be even a little bit lower sometimes, and at least what we see for our clients in Facebook and Instagram ads. And then like another one of the advertising platforms that has a CPM that they kind of report on and that we buy on is programmatic ads. And the CPMs there can be even lower, especially for display networks. I mean, they can be $3. So, you know, in that case, the CPM at OpenAI is 20 times the amount.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out when they allow more people with lower barrier budgets to enter into the market.
Yeah.
How that's going to impact the CPM, because that's going to really deteriorate a lot of people out of the market with something that high.
Sure. I think, you know, part of why they held off on having ads for so long is, you know, I don't know if you saw that Super Bowl commercial with Claude where they said, we'll never do ads.
Oh, yeah.
It was because, you know, ChatGPT just came out with ads and they're like grilling ChatGPT. There was this one really good Super Bowl commercial I saw where the guy like wants to get fit and he's asking chat about it, and it all of a sudden it's trying to sell him on some like weight loss supplement, and he's feeling like crap about himself. And so that was like a smart commercial. And this is why they've held off for so long, right? It's like these AIs feel personal.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think why they're pitching the $60 CPM as a starting point is Sam Altman, the CEO, has been like, this is a really valuable interaction.
Okay.
It's not like the CPMs on a display network, right? So I just told you about the $3 CPMs in programmatic. They're just banner ads or, ads along the top of somebody's screen, ads along the side. Maybe they pop up while you're using an app. It's not exactly the moment where you're most interested in service for certain.
Yeah.
You may not even want to see an ad at that point. You may not pay attention, right? So like that's kind of, they do put a value on that level of attention. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
At OpenAI, they're trying to tell us this level of attention that people are giving the ads is just going to be a lot higher. I guess that's what they're pitching anyway, so we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah. What does it look like in terms of a buy-in? Do we know any businesses that are currently running ads on OpenAI?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest companies in America right now are running ads on OpenAI right now, right? It's companies like Adobe, Target, Ford, Expedia, Mazda, right? So some of these huge brands right now are advertising on ChatGPT, and it's not necessarily our neighborhood shops yet. You have to have $200,000 available to buy in at the start. Yeah. And like you were saying, yes, the CPMs, the cost per 1,000 interactions or impressions was $60. So it's a lot higher than what we're seeing in other platforms. The one article I had read talked about how it was 3 times the amount on Facebook. So in Facebook, they talked about maybe $20 for a CPM. We see it a little lower with our clients. Typically, we'll see it somewhere in the range of maybe even $15, $10 sometimes, right? And there's programmatic ads as well that we can buy on a CPM. And depending on the media type, those can be as cheap as $3 in some cases. So we're talking about some ads that are really expensive in comparison to that.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, in having such a high starting CPM and a high buy-in, it's really deteriorating a lot of these other smaller businesses that would want to get into that industry, like auto repair shops that we talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have some caution at the beginning of all this. AI is a new technology, and people are hesitant about these ads, I think, to begin with. So we'll let them have their fun at kind of testing out how the platform goes. But I'm really curious to know some more about just what those interactions are like, what kind of customability an advertiser has. We have a ton of control over that on Google Ads, for instance, right? We're just, in a lot of cases, writing the ads or determining what copy should go in what places in the ad. But how would that work when this intelligent assistant is supposed to be giving the text and generating it on the spot?
Yeah. Do we have any insight as to when more regular businesses that don't have such high budgets will be able to enter the market in ChatGPT OpenAI ads?
Yeah, we don't necessarily have like a firm date in mind right now, right? But we know things have been moving really quickly already. I think it was in December that the CEO of OpenAI said, we're thinking of doing ads, we might do them. And then earlier this year, they announced they'd be launching this test phase of ads. So it's tough to say exactly when, but it seems like OpenAI is working quickly to figure out this platform and then hopefully get it into the hands of smaller businesses like auto repair shops.
It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out in that way. Have we had any insight into what the placements are going to look like in ChatGPT? Because I know in Google, there's the option of having multiple placements of those paid placements. And I wonder how that CPM is going to relate into that, if there's only one ad placement or if there's several.
That's an interesting point. And I have seen, at least in some of the mock-ups of the ads that I've seen, multiple options provided.
Okay.
So my question beyond that is it kind of going to look like a search engine result page? Like people are used to ads at that level. So then I start to question the value of the $60 or whatever.
Yeah.
At the same time, if we see a few options and we can click into an option and even have a conversation about that option, I think that's really big.
Yeah.
Especially if shops can, all advertisers can impact how ChatGPT or whatever LLM is having the ad will talk about their business, right? I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, that's a lot of what we do with Google right now. It's a big part of our organic strategy in a way. And so I hope they make that available to shops really soon and in an interface that's easy to operate, That could be powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting too, like with what you were saying, with having almost like a search engine results page or a SERP. It would be interesting if it's like a separate screen that it takes you to from that AI that, like you said, allows you to click through and look for additional research to doing that homework phase into it.
Yeah, that would be a really powerful tool. And you think about, especially with some of our shops, they really want the customers who are high value customers. They want to do the right thing for their vehicle. They're doing some research on where the right place is to go, not just the cheapest place, right? And so maybe even we'll start to see on the back end in our reporting that those customers are worth more that are coming through ChatGPT in those conversations.
Yeah.
Luckily we have insight into that now through our reporting tools and revenue attribution on the back end, able to kind of tie invoices from direct marketing sources, wherever they come from.
Yeah. It'd be interesting too to see the back end of the open AI platform as in what control you have into what you're showing ads and what not showing ads for in the situation of auto body versus auto repair.
Sure. And I hope that the AI is kind of smart enough to parse some of that out, but it will be the responsibility of shop owners and of all business owner advertisers to have accurate information available on the internet, right? This is why we've been talking about digital marketing for so long, but it's becoming even more relevant now that there are non-human people interacting on the internet who don't have all the real world context that we do, right? They can't drive by the shop and know that it's there. So you need accurate information about who you are, what kind of customers you want to attract, what makes you different than other shops, why people should come there in the first place. All of that needs to be really deeply talked about on the internet in ways that are accessible through SEO, through, just human content. Yeah, it's becoming more and more important, I think.
Yeah, so having those listings up to date and accurate across all platforms is going to be very valuable for this.
Yep. And I think, more than ever, that monopoly that Google had over the internet is being broken up.
Yeah.
Right. And so it used to be just make sure your SEO with Google is right, advertise on Google Ads. I mean, you could have a pretty solid business.
Yeah.
That was a great strategy online for a really long time. And now there's so many different trust signals that AI is looking for. It needs multiple sources. It can't just go to your Google business profile, get all the information it needs. It wants to read more. So having, a digital presence that is, solid, but also just wide and active, up to date on a regular basis. That's all super important.
So you were saying about the customability on the back end of it. Do we have any insight over the control of what information the model gives back or who we're going after and not going after?
No, we don't have any information about that right now, really. All that we know for certain right now is that optimizing for LLMs is a lot like optimizing for SEO, right? There are still tools available to businesses today, even to influence the kind of information that's available for AI to pull from as it's giving answers about your shop, right? AI's entire training set is the internet. Yeah. So we need to make sure that the internet's information about the shop is accurate, up to date, relevant, all of that. But it also needs to read content that is interesting to a human, that will relate with people, because that is what the AI is trying to give back to people at the end of the day. Now, I should be clear, we know for certain that OpenAI has told us, advertisers will not influence the responses that the AI gives.
Okay.
So that kind of puts a limit a little bit on what kind of things can come out in these ads, right? We know it's not necessarily freewheeling with a bunch of information. So I'm curious to see how much influence we have, if it's entirely like a Google ad, where we're kind of just providing all the information for the ads and the copy and the pictures. Maybe it's something like that where it's inserted. Maybe it is something where, we've developed custom GPTs inside our company and for other companies, other shops even. And so with that, you're training kind of a custom version of ChatGPT around knowledge that you have, maybe documents, or you just kind of go back and forth and train it for a little while. And it pops out a custom version of ChatGPT. People might be familiar. I would love to see something like that where the user is aware it's a distinct, different experience. They are going to interact with a brand. But I would love it to be that, where a user could interact with a brand. That would be awesome. Yeah. But like I said, we don't know anything right now. And what we do know is that ads are only shown to, a limited set of people. It's only to the free users and to the users on the Go subscription tier. That's their lowest one. It's not shown to Pro, Plus, or Enterprise education users. Anybody with a higher tier subscription, they're not going to be seeing ads. So I'm curious to see the impact for now. It could be small, but the ecosystem will surely grow a lot really quickly.
Yeah. I'm also eager to see how much that will change of who is served an ad and who's not served an ad. Now, obviously, we would find that out when they can roll it out for some of the lower tier companies to see how many people are actually being served the ads and the return on it. But do we have any insight into any changes with that, or do we know it's only going to be served to specific tiers like you just said?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't have any insight into that necessarily. I would think they would provide an option to buy out of ads, a lot like YouTube, a lot like Netflix or other platforms, right? Users will pay money to get out of an advertising experience. And if anything, we know that this is probably a play for money for ChatGPT. There is a lot of money that is needed to build these data centers, and they got to build a lot of them. So I would hope, that they're thinking of their bottom line in that. And I do think it's smart not to allow advertisers to overly impact or impact at all the answers that the AI are giving. It should be based on fact. Nonetheless, I'm interested to see where that all goes.
So how could auto repair shop owners stay up to date on OpenAI, and any updates on when they may be able to buy into the platform?
Well, I think they should stay in touch with us. I mean, we've been doing this stuff for a really long time, and we have been invested in AI since it became relevant for the industry. We're always looking out, what's relevant in marketing today for auto repair shops. And we've seen AI as really important. We've been developing custom GPTs for shops. We use AI in our workflows a lot already, right? And so I think that shops should stay in touch with us. We'll definitely keep them up to date. Our clients are often the first to know about different things that I've shared during this video about what we learn about ChatGPT rolling out ads, because we've known that we've heard rumors about this for a while anyway. So we've been trying to keep our clients up to date as it rolls out. A lot of them are really interested in, getting ads available. So we're going to stay on top of this. And we want to be one of the first to pioneer this and try this when it becomes available for agencies like us.
Thank you, Conley, for your time today, your insights, and all of the data that you had about ChatGPT and OpenAI ads. I really look forward to getting that rolled out for a lot of clients across the automotive repair shop industry.
Yeah.
To keep up to date with our rollouts of ChatGPT ads for auto repair shops, be sure to check out our blog. For any other auto repair shop marketing needs, check out our website, where you can get in touch with our team of trained professionals to help boost your shop to the next level.